Hey guys, welcome. I'm Vulture Culture, and tonight we're going to be making EBM music, one of my favorite genres, in the style of bands like Hocico, Unter Null, so many great ones, Sektor, Grendel, God Mod, the list goes on and on, Suicide Commando. So welcome if it's your first time here. Can I get a scum cheers in the chat? Cheers, guys. Welcome to the channel. Tonight, we're going to be using a magical recipe I would call all you really need to make incredible EBM music. So you can use any synthesizer you want, but the reason I picked the Prophet 12 is because it combines the best parts of a synth like the Nord Lead 2 or a Access Virus, but then it also has an analog filter, analog distortion. So it's like the best of both worlds. I'm going to be using Polyverse Music's Filterverse, which is my favorite plugin for doing so much. In this particular patch, what it's doing is most of the filter work. It's got this really cool new Fibonacci chorus that I've been using. I think it sounds incredible. And then delay. So it's more, and I'm doing sidechaining. It's so much more than just filtering, right? It's not just a little filter thing. Damien, that was just a little demo I came up with for this live stream. And yes, we're going to be making a fresh track. So Filterverse, Black Friday's coming right up. And if you guys want to purchase Filterverse, please use the affiliate link in the description down below, because I get a little kickback from that. It helps me keep making the channel. And Filterverse really is an incredible product. And then finally, the third member of the trifecta is Diodes Rust, which is my vintage industrial drum machine sample pack. And I'm putting it on sale now, as of this video, through the end of the month, 20% off. So again, if it's the type of thing you want some really badass industrial drums, it's a great way to help me keep doing what I do. So welcome everybody. Ed from Earth. We got so many awesome people here already. So let's jump in to how to do this. All right. And you can hear that this is sort of like more, I would say, of a, 2000s style EBM. If you want me to do something a little bit more, let's say like Skinny Puppy, Frontline Assembly, Night Sareb, like late 80s, early 90s, drop a VHS emoji in the comments below. So first we'll start off. I've done the drums already because drums are kind of boring. That's also something I could do a tutorial on at some point if people actually care enough, but generally we're focused more on the music. So all of these drums are Diodes Rust. Let's just check out the beat we're going to start with. So that's the idea. I've processed it already. We've got some echo and stuff going on in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'll turn all of this off. So we just have one layer going here, and we'll open up Filterverse. And hopefully you guys can see this well. Let me know if at any point I'm missing what's going on. And why don't we just go to a new preset, global, right basic patch, and now we should have a sawtooth wave. And let me know if everything's looking and sounding okay. So Filterverse is so cool. You'll notice there's already some stuff going on, and that's because I have something of a basic stuff that I tend to use a lot, and I've got it kind of built into a default patch. So let me just explain real quick what we have here. So first off, we have a filter. We can add resonance. And it sounds super great. The bread and butter is phenomenal. We have so many different types. I like the bread and butter because it's kind of like a little ladder filtery, but not too much. We also have the evil filter, which can be great for EBM music. for all sorts of different kinds of sonic destruction. But for our case right now, we don't need anything too crazy. So I like leaving it on bread and butter, 2-pole, nice gentle filter. And so what we're going to do first off is if I bring this down and modulate, let's look at this first sequencer, right? So it's just a 16th notes pulse. And that's really good for right now. Here's just probably the bass, right? Just the low end part there. We could even bring it below to where we've kind of killed the fundamental, right? And then let's bring in sequencer 1. So that's a really great way to immediately get into that EBM space, right? Because if we're doing this type of, you know, we get that sort of vibe. Yo, shout outs to Taylor. Right, so that's one thing we can do. If we look at sequencer number 2 here, what's it doing? It's got this one little narrow pulse. So some people like to work with MIDI a lot. And when I'm finalizing a track, I usually do too. I'll record it, then I'll make sure the MIDI looks nice, shoot it back to the synth, do some modulation with my hands while I'm recording kind of the final pass. But when I'm playing live like this, directly into the plugin, right, I like actually chopping off the last 30-second note here. So let me just modulate the volume negatively by this amount, right? So what that's going to do, you'll hear it. So it's just kind of getting that out of the way so that every time that starts over, especially if I play the track, you'll hear it kind of a little bit more. Right. So you can hear a lot more of what that's doing. I like just having that in there. Just it cleans it up, because sometimes when you're playing live, you might strike a note a little early, which is more of a problem than if you're a little late, right? It can kind of sound weird. Then I have this sequencer, and you can see that it's just like a very slow ramp up. So if we modulate the cutoff here too, by, so again, you can modulate anything on Filterverse if it's got one of these things. So we can modulate the resonance too, by the way, by the same amount, right? So it could increase in resonance over time. And this is basically just going up over probably something like 16 bars, I think. It's just slowly building. So when we're playing some track, and then if we were to keep going here, you could see like towards this point, if we jump forward in the arrangement, that's a deep cut, Damien. I like that. Yeah, so the snare, you know, there's some processing that goes in that. If you download Diodes and Rust, it's not going to sound exactly like that. You're going to add some distortion. There's all sorts of tricks that us EBM guys used back in the days to get it to have that particular sound. Now, if I go to the delay here, and I turn this on, you'll notice dry wet's all the way down. Let's look at envelope follower here. And what I can do is I can route this kick transient that I have here. Let me solo this so you can hear this real quick. It's doing very little to the track, but if I route it to Prophet 12 here, audio and then new channels on receiving track 3 and 4. So these are the auxiliary channels. Hopefully I'm not moving too fast. If you guys have any questions, let me know as I'm going. Using this envelope follower, now I can modulate the volume of this final filter. Now it's a delay filter, but we have the dry wet all the way down, but that doesn't affect the filter out. So let's just bring that all the way down and see if we've successfully created some sidechaining. if we don't want it to be too extreme, we can kind of split the difference, right? So let's try that again. So let's check out the chorus. So right now what we're listening to is mono. Let's add the Fibonacci chorus in. And this is really crazy because it uses the Fibonacci sequence, I'm probably saying that wrong, to create this chorus that sounds like it's moving when it's not. So process that for a second. It sounds like this. So it's a really cool, like JP8000-ish chorus in the sense that it can be so big. Little glitch there. Probably be some glitches tonight just because between streaming and all the CPU going on. Oh yeah, and Dub, that's a really good point, is this synth has a great mod matrix. So we're listening to this with Filterverse on for a second, just because I wanted to show you guys like kind of what my typical setup is. But what we can do is, you know, turn off what we don't want to use at the moment. So let's use the tempong and just add some delays. And let me see here. Where is my, let's page back and get this guy here. So let's add some, let's actually get into some sound design with this guy. So if we want to do some sort of bass, right? What I'm going to do is pitch this up 12 notes, which might be counterintuitive. You might be thinking to yourself, Alex, that doesn't make any sense. But we have a sub oscillator, so let's go ahead and bring that in. Ah, there's a solar flare incoming. That could do it. So I'm going to give you guys some tropes. Let's call them like rules that you should break if you want to make EBM music. So the first one would be 130 or 140 BPM. Back in the day, all of us industrial guys overused those tempos to infinity. So it's a good idea, I would say, to pick a different tempo. So right now, I don't know if you could see it, but we're in 122. So it's just a different kind of vibe. I would encourage you to not make all of your music at 130 or 140 BPM. Here's another one. Let's avoid doing like simple rhythm octave bass lines, right? Because that's just been done to death as well. And then like another thing that all of the industrial guys did, there was a whole generation of harsh electro guys who wouldn't know a square wave if it smacked them in the face. It was just all detuned saws, not really a lot of resonance, just, you know, make it a pluck or something like that. So it's also good to sort of get outside of that a bit. So instead of using a sawtooth wave, why don't we change the waveform to a pulse wave? And then assign mod source shape mod, and then assign mod source LFO1, assign mod destination shape mod. And then we should be able to add some PWM in. And then we just need to slow that down. Sounds really pretty beefy. Now we've got this beautiful analog filter. We have more oscillators, right? So why don't we bring in another PWM oscillator? So same deal, shape mod, assign mod source, LFO1, and then assign mod destination. Let's see, let me scroll to mod slot here, assign mod source, same LFO. Oh dear. Will it not let me select the same? Am I doing something silly? Well, I'm sure I can select it just here, I suppose. Oscillator alpha 1, there we go. And then assign mod destination, oscillator 2, shape mod depth, and then we'll just set the same amount. And so we should get 2 oscillators with PWM. So that's the beautiful thing about this synth is we can stack more and more oscillators. And this is definitely a genre that rewards stacking a lot of oscillators. Now, what we can do is we can add some oscillator slop and then detune it a bit. To be able to do any of that, though, to hear it, we'll have to turn it on, turn up the level. I think I need a little drink. Can I get a scum cheers for the absolute best community on YouTube? We're here every Wednesday night doing something involving synths. Next week, we're going to be checking out a legendary synth for EBM music used by Phase Fatale, Blush Response. I've been hunting for this synth for years, the Waldorf XTK. So that's going to be next week, guys. Really excited about that. So can I get a scum cheers in the chat for all of you? Thank you for making this channel what it is. Oh, all shape mod is also an option. That's awesome. I didn't even realize that. Dubstation has the same synth and he knows it much better than I. He sent me some tips before the stream, but I was too busy practicing that song and setting up all the drums and everything to get it to happen. So I apologize, my friend. You might have to coach me through some of this. Coach Dub. But how awesome does that bass line sound? And guess what? Like, we're not using any sawtooth waves, right? So that would be another thing I just encourage you is to get outside of the comfort zone, right? Let's add some amplitude modulation and see what happens. Maybe not for this sound. So, high pass filter. We've got 2 poles. Let's bring it down. I love that gritty aliasing you get from the filter. That's one of the things about the synth that's so unique is that the sound of the way the filter, it's funny, the oscillators don't really alias at all, which is a good or a bad thing depending on who you are. I think for this synth it sounds really good, but the filter does, and it's great. So envelope amount, and we're going to increase the attack and decay. I liked how it opened and closed like that. Can add some resonance in if we want to give it some attitude. But this genre again doesn't really use a lot of resonance because I mean I'm sure there's some artists who did, but I think in this case it's okay. We have feedback. So this is where the synth is just unparalleled, except for some of the other DSI synths that have feedback oscillators like the Pro 2, Pro 3, I think have them. Maybe the Polyevolver. This is such a powerful sound design tool. It's tracking the keyboard. And just adds this incredible grit to it. Can you modulate the feedback amount? of this? Let's see. So let's go to assign mod source LFO. Let's move to a new slot and then assign mod source to assign mod destination feedback amount. Yes, you can. So why don't we just modulate that a bit? We'll use, I don't know, an amount. Let's go like nothing too crazy and then see what that sounds like if I dial it back. Dude. What an insane idea. That is gotta be one of the coolest bassline sounds I've ever heard. So real quick, I'm actually just going to go right, and then I'm going to just write it real quick. I'm not going to bother naming it because that takes a while. I have a JX3P. Roy, by the way, welcome. And all I have to say is this could do some shit. Oh, so good. So we've already created something that's pretty ferocious. Let's see if we even need the distortion. I think at this point it might be too much. So one thing that I think can get lost when you're exploring any sort of harsh music like industrial or EBM is you might think, you know, let me just crank on the distortion. Melbourne Instruments is super cool. Rex from Melbourne, I talked to him a couple of years ago, and I think they make really great stuff. I'd love to check out Delia at some point. Do drive because it will be pre-filter. Right, so another thing that I do all the time on the synth, when I shot this out against the Prophet 600 I used to have, I found that increasing the drive, so we have this character section, which modifies the oscillators, right? It's before the filter. I love how it's just left to right signal path, you know? So increasing drive really helps because at zero drive, the synth can be almost a little tame, but then once you bring that drive in, in this particular case, it's reacting strongly even to it. We got to be real careful here. We need like this, like a two drive. That is sufficient. It's pretty crazy. I mean, I think we need like 2 drive. 3 is even a little much. And it does help sort of manage that resonance a little bit better. So let's just write that again. This synth is so good. I know I've had some statements on it before, but all right. We could put it in unison. We could put it into a bitimbral mode, but for the sake of convenience, let's just turn the Fibonacci chorus on. It's so bassy now. actually play around with, do we need the high pass filter? What's interesting is the key tracking. If I key track at 127, Dub, I don't know if you know off the top of your head if that's double, if I need to go for like 68. But it's already pulling some of that low end out. So I'm actually going to leave the cutoff all the way down, but just bring it a little bit. This is one of the best patches ever. So let's jump in real quick and record something and see kind of where we're at. So see what we like. .127 is note to number. Thank you for that info. Let's go ahead and go in. Let's see, I like that kind of riff. Reminds me of Shut Up and Swallow. Welcome everybody who just got here. Brett, Harmonic Sonics, how's it going everybody? Lonnie, welcome. Adios, my friend. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello. So now that we have this, we can start really diving in with the filter, the bread and butter filter here. This could go evil. Why don't we go evil for a bit? So we'll check out the different kind of modes that we have. So we've got drive, which is very useful on all of these because it gets pretty nasty quick. And unlike on the other filters, we each pulls a different kind of aggression. Fat is awesome, but like way too much because the synth already has such a great low end from that sub oscillator. So back to bread and butter. increase the sidechain. Let's really, and you don't really hear it until you solo just the synth. You really hear how much that's gating out or pulling out that kick drum. All right, so I've got console 1 here, so I'll just pull this up real quick. Hey, there was already a high-end bass. There's already a boost on this. That's hilarious. I was just going to do that. I was like, we need a little bit more meat on this. The high frequencies I probably don't need to worry about. I actually will probably pull this down really low, like 500, 300, 500, something. I'm going to overdo it so I can hear what the EQ is doing and then dial it back. Yes, Brett, that's a thing that I encourage everybody to do is mix LCR, meaning left, center, right. There's only those positions to mix. In this case, I might have broken my own rule now that I just said that. Yep, I did. In fact, I've got a pan 25% left, 25% right. I usually don't do that type of thing. Having really wide, like these toms are just left and right. Have the courage. Be not a coward and put your toms 75% left or 75% right. Just slap those bad boys as far as they can go. Another trick I did, and I know we're not really talking about the drums in this, but I actually have 2 different Diodes Rust drum open hi-hats. So I've got the left one. And the right one, and together you get a much wider stereo image because I'm actually using 2 drums that are doing the same thing, so you get the impression that it's one drum, but it's very wide, which is a good idea to do on something like that. But we'll have to do, if you guys are interested in drums, we'll do that on another one because we've got way too much to do. Now, let me see this one. Do I have that high-end? Wasn't I copied that high-on boost onto all of these, so you'll just have to turn that off real quick. All right, let's make sure we wrote that because that's like one of my favorite patches I've ever heard. And I'm not hearing anything. Monitor input. Muted. Oh yeah, it's not quite as bright. Yo, can I get a scum cheers in the chat? My vocal cords are fried from that intro. I hope you're being sarcastic, all keys. Does that sound fucking thin to you? I don't mean to be attacking you. I'm just genuinely shocked that you would say that unless it was with a little bit of sarcasm in there. That is very brutal. So let's jump to a new patch here. And same thing. We'll just go to global, basic patch, and... so we're in F sharp. So what we might want to do is create like a little texture, right, to go over that. So one thing about EBM music as opposed to, let's say, synth pop, you don't really need a lot of pads. It's all about that fucking bass line, the drums, and then some textures are really what you're going to do, and maybe a lead. But yeah, Ed, if that was a trap, I went right into it like a bear looking at a fucking plastic salmon in the Canada wilds. You know what I'm talking about? Sounds like beef to me. I didn't mean to shame you, all keys. Please stay here and hang out. Just maybe I misunderstand what you think. Prophet 12 is phenomenal. So we need to get more into the weird space. The subwoofer is absolutely getting a workout, Synthsonic. So to do that, we need to get a little more metallic maybe. So why don't we go and pick a different waveform? Let's go with a sine wave. You know, you can hear a little whine in there, which I like. Now we can actually leave the output level of oscillator 2 down, but let's pick a complex waveform like this church waveform. So if I bring it in, you'll hear this sort of organy thing, but we'll leave it off. We're just using it for FM. And then when we've got that FM, we can really change the timbre of that sine wave by using the pitch here. And then what we could do is actually jump into this third oscillator. The volume's off on this, by the way. Now, if we FM oscillator 2 with oscillator 3, right? It's just it's like we're creating like a DX7. And then we control the pitch here. So we've really kind of created more interesting, complex oscillators to work with. We have different, in this character section, we've got girth and air. Let's boost the air. Let's add some decimation in. Right? So, you know, you can start to hear the industrial, right? So we could do this all day to create all sorts of fun sort of percussion. So if we just bring the filter down and increase the key amount. And sorry, it's probably annoying. So what we're getting here, maybe we'll leave key amount off actually, so we can just. Oh, cool. We're getting some really interesting. So why don't we loop this real quick here and see what we can do with just the bass line and try to find, because the thing is that note is in key, but the rest is out for sure. Let me see. I missed something in the chat. Do you ever mix in the car dub? I'm a big car mixer. Yeah, so let's just check this out and see if we can find a melody that works. I have to remember that when I'm soloed channels, you guys can't hear me. That is just such a badass sound. So let's record something in All right, so what I'm going to do is select that take, and we'll just use the second part there, right? So we've kind of got that. So it's not really melody, would be stretching the phrase. Industrial metal, we'll call it that. Now let's get into Filterverse and see what we could do with this. So just because I have this default stuff doesn't mean I actually have to like use it. We could use a completely different way of going. I will use the delay because I think that would be cool, right? Feedback is actually, well, I guess exactly what it would be on like a tape echo or something. The amount that recycles. We have dampening here. We have different types of delays too. There's a bunch: tempo delay, tempong, temp pitch, a granular delay that is tempo synchronized with pitch shifting capabilities. So that's how you could do all sorts of shimmery type stuff. Why don't we use that for the fuck of it, right? Let's see what happens if we go up. Wow. Okay, well, I guess I love that now. Going into the filter out, we can sidechain it. All we have to do is the same thing as route the transient to Prophet 12 industrial metal 3/4. There we go. Now we can use it as a as if we want to use this envelope follower here. So let's just sidechain it a bit. Now we got to get some movement in there because it's dead down the center. So let's go to pan here and let's just create another sequencer. We could use one of the ones we already created, but why not? We've got plenty of sequencers. Let's turn the sync off and bring this down to somewhere between, I like to go between 0.25 and 0.5 for sort of slow modulation here. And then we can just modulate the pan with this sequencer. And you'll see that now we're moving left to right. You can see here. What would be even smarter actually is if we did the panning earlier on. I think that would be a better place to do it. So let's see what happens. And because we're using it and it's how do I say this? It's not tempo synced. Oh right, you could use the pan spread. Right, that's a perfectly much more intelligent way to have done this. So where do we have that? I know it's right here. So we have a knob that would have done this exact same thing. But you know, here we are. I keep trying to demo Filterverse. So we've got that. Let's add the Fibonacci chorus in. And I want maybe more cross feedback. Let's see what that does. I'm not exactly sure what that does. I want more feedback. You could hear those really interesting granular stuff going on. Okay. Awesome. Right. Let's go ahead and make sure I write this patch as well. And then we can jump in and create a new patch, global right now, and we should be good to go. So we've got ourselves a really cool FM metally bells type thing. Let's kill the high-end boost here. I should be able to just do that by tapping. Yep. And so, you know, we're going to just build this track up because that's for this type of EBM music. Again, it's going to be less, you know, us playing Pretty Little type things, although we could do that. But what it really is about creating textures and movements. Thank you, Synsonic. I appreciate it. You know, let's add one little bit more while we're messing around with Filterverse here. Why don't we go into the bread and butter filter and we're going to just modulate it with the sequencer a bit. So let's just bring it down. We actually could do this a few different ways. Okay, let's leave it. I think it's enough. I'm getting too in the weeds. Let's just create some more patches. So why don't we try kind of something similar, but let's pick a different wave, maybe a triangle wave this time. There we go. We're going to use pan spread and we'll bring it all the way in so you guys could hear that. So now it'll jump side to side. If I put it into unison mode, we can change the mode to all voices. And let's go ahead and bring the volume down a bit. So we're hearing all the voices trigger now, which is going to become more apparent if let's bring in a different wave. Let's give it something to chew on. Hell yeah, Machine Storm. We can increase the key amount. So this thing does really great sort of acidy type sounds. Interestingly, if we increase hack, normally I wouldn't go for that type of sound, but the thing is, yeah, that's right, Synsonic. I haven't done it in too long, and I'm trying to get kind of back in the habit of doing a rotation between streams where we compare two synthesizers and then something like this where we actually make some cool music, and then something like a legendary synthesizer test. And like I said, next week we have a new synth to check out. So very exciting to try to do my best to kind of stick to that. But of course, things come up and, you know. So that sounds really cool, but it's so bassy, it's going to compete with the bass line. So the great thing is we have this high pass filter. And we've got delays on the synth, so we don't really need to use the delays in Filterverse. It's just kind of fun because it's there. But let's use this because what's an acid line without... And we can sync it. And then I don't know if there's got to be like a global tap tempo here. I suppose I could just tap the tempo to the track, right? Let's see. Yeah, it sounds good. Jumping back over here, let's change the delay time. 1/8 dot. So we've got almost everything we need for that. But what is acid without distortion? So. And instead of modulating this, why don't we just modulate this with an LFO? So assign mod source, assign mod destination. That's what's so great about this synth. You just hold a button, move a knob, and this is all of the DSI sequential stuff. Probably the Oberheim stuff too now. I can't imagine it wouldn't be. So let's just modulate that a bit with this LFO. And we just need to really slow that down, although it's kind of cool in its own way. I actually like it, for whatever reason, faster. Is there a way to pan these delays? I feel like there is. Let me see if I go in here, sync amount, feedback, delay, filter. So there's actually a filter. Ah, there it is, pan. So let's go right all the way that way. And then we can just bring in another one and we'll pan this all the way to the left, and same kind of amounts here. And then sync is on, delay time 1/8. Whoa. And we'll bring the amounts down now that we have them so high. We don't need so much, probably. Well, let's see how it sounds in the track. It's chaotic, it's good. Let's go in here and bring that down a little bit. Mod 6, assign LFO 2. Again, to the cutoff. We'll do this one and we'll make it slow. So we'll use both of these, kind of like a fast LFO and a slow LFO. So I can get that motion I want in there. But, you know, not the little chaos. Maybe we'll dial the chaos a little bit back on mod 5. How do I do that? Sort slot. Let's go to 5. Let's dial that back a little bit. And then we'll go and increase this amount a little bit more. Big Velvet Acid Christ fan. Wonder what he's up to. A little bit more bass in there actually sounds nice. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the high pass filter also has resonance. Thank you, D, for the info. I appreciate it. Actually might use that. That sounds sick. Okay, I am a terrible keyboardist, but it's harder to play that than it might seem, just because your ear is so used to sort of like the feedback loop. If I press a key, I hear the sound back, and that sort of auto fixes your timing. But because of the different LFO movements, it was a little intense. But anyways, let's take that take, and we'll just double it. Now, going into Filterverse, we don't need to do as much because we already did a lot of cool stuff. What I am going to do is use the envelope follower again, maybe a little bit. So we're going to call this acid. Here we go. I do want to use just some basic stuff just to help it have a little movement. So same thing as before. I guess I could have done this before the stream. I didn't really think about it, but routing just all of this so it's quicker to go. Oh, I could duplicate it and then delete the rest of these. I don't know. We'll see if I remember to do that later. So we got the envelope follower. So let's turn Tempong on and just do a little sidechainy thing. I'm going to do it to ear this time. I like that. What do you guys think? Also, on the filter out, I'm going to use sequencer 2. Like if you weren't here earlier, because counterintuitive positive or negative. Maybe that's not that counterintuitive to synth snobs out there. Can I get some scum snobs in the chat for everybody who knows modulating something negatively with a positive value? What's going to happen? So cheers to y'all. By modulating the volume with this positive value negatively, we're going to just kill that last 30-second note. I have a note that's kind of there, so I might not be able to use this, or I could mess around with it and try to get a different result. So for instance, like if I go to fourth, there it's just really, it's a really fast little thing that it's doing. Oh, should I worry about the delay tail? So actually what I can do in Reaper is, what's it called? Free item positioning. I can pull that tail back in a bit. Basically, you can have multiple items inside of one thing here. Or I could do like a little crossfade here. And we'll just see how that sounds. It's not perfect. If I was doing this for like a final track, we could spend some time and do some free item positioning and stuff. If you want to see what that looks like, I think I use it in my intro music actually. So if we just look over here real quick, yeah, you can see it. So if I zoom real far out, you can see that within one track, I have items that are overlapping and things. It doesn't take much effort, but it takes enough effort that I don't feel like doing it right now. But yeah, so we could use that so that we could preserve that goodness in there. Google AI conflated the Korg Minilog XD and the third wave. But when you think about it, they are basically the exact same synth, right? You know, the Minilog XD has analog oscillators, and the third wave has bass compensation. You know, AI is cool. It's very useful for certain types of things. I have found that for synthesizers, AI, for info about synths, AI is just not there yet, unfortunately. Christopher Pinkleton, welcome. Can I get a scum cheers? Oh God, I'm already out. Cheers, guys, for Christopher Pinkleton for joining for the first time. I appreciate you being here. I really like sculpting that sound with the high pass and low pass filter. That worked out better than I thought it would. So now what we can do is let's bring in just the bread and butter filter and bring it down a bit, and we'll just use this sequencer to sort of add some motion into it. And the way to do this is kind of go to the end of this line here and see what it would sound like if we modulate this up a little bit, you know. Sounds really good. It's getting a little bassy because we're filtering out so much high end until the end here. So I'm actually going to just sort of pull out and kind of turn this a little bit more into a ladder filter by turning it more into a bandpass filter, right? Where we're going to lose that low end just to EQ it a bit, right? Christopher Pickleton says, thank you for inspiring me. 24 whole hours. How many miles was that? Round trip to pick up a beautiful SQ80. Plays nicely with my peak. That's so cool because the SQ80 and the peak are sort of like the pinnacles of the decade, right? For both of those synthesizers. And now the peak has your SQ80 based wavetables. That's so cool. That's actually cooler than I even thought things could go. So you're very welcome. I need to have the SQ80 back on the stream. Ever since Damien got one, I'm like, God, I haven't done enough SQ80 stuff. It's difficult. I've got a Emax and Waldorf XTK we haven't checked out yet. Got to get back to the SQ80. Such a cool synth. Sounds amazing. Okay, that's beautiful. Man, I love this sound. Dude, so good. I'm gonna just pull out a little low end here. That's a good idea. Let's add some reverb in on this. So what do we have here? We have the Fibonacci chorus, which we probably don't even need. So why don't we go to space? And I can just reorder these. So now space is last. And let's hear how this sounds. So now the cutoff is like your size control. Resonance is the amount. Diffusion. So let's hear how this sounds. I'm going to solo this so you're not going to hear my voice for a second. So we got diffusion, dampening, which, you know, cuts out the high frequencies, detune to get those lexicon type sounds, pre-delay. So I'm going to turn this kind of like to default so you can hear what it sounds like wet all the way up. And you won't be able to hear my voice, but I don't have anything I have to say anyways. A lot of fun there. A lot of fun. Okay, so we need some more sounds to be able to get it there. So let's go in here and let's pull up this. So let me make sure I wrote this. It's so cool. Bank select. Let's pull another one. Global right now. Low pipe hit in the mix. Your wish is my command. I was just thinking we need something on the one. So something you hear a lot in older industrial, and I know we're not going back to the 80s, but bands like Microchip League and A Split Second, artists like that, they have a lot, Ministry, a lot more emphasis on the one, which almost is like kind of like a funk thing. Whereas I think the more 2000s is a little bit more often like the offbeat sort of Eurodance inspired stuff, even though it's like super harsh and dark. It's like, when you look at the structure and a lot of the sounds, it's like, well, that's just like an Italo disco bass line with a shitload of distortion. Hi, Jenny. How's it going? Good to see you. Use a noise oscillator in the next sound. Yes, sir. So we're going to go for a low pipe hit and a noise oscillator. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to noise here. We've got a bunch of different ones, actually. Now, I wonder, can we FM noise? We can AM it. Let's do that instead. And we'll use, let's use a triangle wave. Keep it easy. I might be going in this direction, guys. Well, what about if we add some feedback? You could hear how the feedback oscillator is a like a carpless strong type thing. Man, you can make some insane Bram type stuff. That'd be kind of like a fun sort of almost like sample and hold type sound over the top, which I'm sure we could do by modulating the tuning with a sample and hold LFO, right? I just want to know. I know this isn't what you guys asked for. I promise we'll get there. Feedback tuning amount. And then let's go to LFO 1 here, and then let's change the shape to random, and then turn sync on, and then tap tempo, probably, because we're on a new patch. LFO 1, let's see. Jazz Mom. Well, I'm sorry this happened, guys. I'm really sorry. I'm genuinely sorry that time. I wasn't expecting that one. Oh, God. Okay, that, you know, it happened, guys. We're going to have to move on. You know, we're going to have to get past it. Let's listen to some of what we did here and hang our heads in shame. I genuinely adore it. So let's just take that piece, because if we use like too long, it's going to be too crazy. So let's just loop that. And again, I'm sorry if I've like caused anybody's cats to go batshit. But you know, sometimes we got to go here. So the great thing is that using Filterverse, we can to maybe tame this slightly. So the big thing I'm hearing immediately is the high end, or the low end is crazy. So let's just use we'll use the Swiss Army knife, just like a basic filter. 2 poles is great, and we'll just bring out some of the low end. Now we need to smash that. So let's drive 100% and see what we get. Now, let's see what else we have in here. So let's turn this chorus. We're going to go some different direction with this. Let me think about this for a second. What could we use here? We need to kind of like smooth it out, right? Because this is just, we need it to be a more usable texture. So I'm thinking that Tim pitch again. That was so cool. So check this out, dry wet. That way it smooths it, you know. Yeah, the AX80 seems like the type of synth that would go down this sort of path as well. Oh, wait. Really fascinating. That is a very good sound. I can't really describe it, but it's very good. I think we just need reverb again. I think the combo of the 10 pitch into space is great. So let's get just like a big old reverb sound. I just want to solo that so that I know what I'm doing here. I can solo on my... It's a good sound. I'm very happy about that sound. Oh, I know what's happening here. Is the I have a gate on this. That's what's occurring. That's causing the sounds to kind of drop off. I usually use this like just to kind of double check. Oh, it's interesting. There is actually a little bit of noise from the synth. Very small amount just because of the distortion. What a cool atmospheric EBM type thing. I would love to do the vocals over the top. Like I said, I sort of shredded my voice earlier. Dub says, 80% of the sounds tonight could not be made with any of your other synths, and the P12 can also do most of the work the filter plugin can as well. One crazy synth. Look, I may have in fact prejudged this synth a little bit. I have a tendency to focus so much on oscillators and filters. And anybody who's been here on the channel for a while knows that I go deep and really into the little differences there, because when you're talking about most sounds, that's where the magic is. When it comes to this bad boy, you know, we could not, it is 100% correct. There's no other synth. What's going on with the feedback oscillator. In fact, I think the only thing that could potentially replace this at this point would maybe be a polyevolver, just because I believe that has the feedback oscillator as well. It doesn't have the character section, but it's got the Prophet VS waves. It could be a contender. But aside from that, I mean, there's a reason I picked this one. Also, it's so much fun to use. I'm still learning it. I'm not the fastest, but we're getting there. Hopped and croaked like a toad. Clean dirty, that's correct. Scum cheers, you guys. I wish I had something to cheers you with, but I am sadly out. I will get one drop left. Cheers, guys. I really appreciate it. Okay, so we got some really cool atmospheric stuff going on here. I think we got time for one more sound. So why don't we make it, you know, a nice one. So what we'll do is, I don't want to write this. I guess I'll write it. I thought we had a kind of an easier one earlier. Let's go to another one. And same thing, global right now. It's crazy, we're all the way back here. I want to create like almost like a monopoly-esque massive 4-oscillator sound. So why don't we do what I would do on the monopoly, right? So the way I would go about that would be, let's start with square waves on oscillator 1 and 2. Let's make sure they're both up in level to 100. Let's add some slop to both. We don't need much, like 10 slop is fine. Let's turn the fine tune down actually, because what we're going to do is assign mod source LFO1, assign mod destination. Let me go look here. All AM. So we got shape mod. I'm looking for all shape mod. Wow, you can modulate all slop? That's crazy. Oh, but where's the all shape mod? Let me see. Shape mod 2, 3, 4. I don't see all shape mod somehow in the list. AM, you can do a bunch of stuff. Oh, you can even modulate the frequency amounts. That's pretty crazy. Well, anyways, assign mod destination shape mod. There we go. Bring in an amount. And then we'll just go to the same one and do the same thing. So mod oscillator, shape mod, assign destination shape mod 43, and then just slow it down. Oscillator 3 is going to be a sawtooth, as so is 4. They're going to have the same amount of slop, just kind of in the same neighborhood, and the shape is going to be a sawtooth on both of them. So we should have 4 oscillators triggering at once. I see 40 Thieves is here. How's it going, my friend? Good to see you. So we're just creating like a massive goddamn stack. So let me see, like, let's play with the character section here. Girth. Start with drive. That's the most important one. How was Mexico, my friend? It's after Four-osc all shape mod. Let me just go look, just in case I'm really silly here. I go straight to sub oscillator level on mine. Again, the firmware might actually be kind of old on this. So whatever, it's okay. I'm happy to do oscillator 1 shape mod. There we go. We're creating like a really massive sound. Now, we could use pan spread and put it into unison mode, but I think we will be fine. Let's go into Filterverse real quick, and we're just going to use the Fibonacci chorus right now again. It's really big, so we could probably high pass a little bit. Let's get the growl involved. So if I go to stack A and B, right? Can also stack layer B. Do I need to write layer A and then pull it up on layer B? Is that the idea? Man, those parallel, the high pass filters, so good. Unfortunately, failed, my friend. I'm sorry. I have not gone there. Let's finish this track off. Let's try to get this where we need it to be. Sort of like a big old lead. Juno reactor type thing, you know, like what Juno would do. That sort of sound. So let's go ahead and try to get some. Let's put it in unison. I need that stereo width, you know? Let's get it in. Wait, unison to all voices. Oh no, now I'm in. Almost clipping, but not quite. It's all that matters. So let's try that again. That was close. Let's do another pass. Just because that'll do the trick, right? Let's pump it through an incredibly big reverb. I think that's what it is. The same recipe we had before, plenty of diffusion, no dampening. In this case, we don't really need too much. Plenty of detune. Pre-delay, probably not so much. Don't want as much sidetracking, I would say. I'm actually pulling out some of the high end because I want it to sound more analog, right? Wow. Just incredible. So, I'd like to conclude tonight by saying that, okay, so, I mean, Diodes and Rust, $10 normally, 20% off sale, so it's $8 for all the drums you're hearing. So if you like industrial EBM music, there's really no reason not to get it, especially because it helps me keep the lights on. So that's pretty cool. Filterverse, currently $149, I want to say. Sorry if I get that wrong. You know what? I really didn't even do this plugin justice. And to Dub's chagrin, I kept kind of going to the plugin just because I wanted to show off some of the new stuff. I didn't even get fucking close. And I know that Asaf and Adrian are going to watch the stream and they're going to be so frustrated with just because I didn't even I used a few of the filters. There's so much cool stuff going on in here, guys. Like we have a barber pole flanger, which basically will keep going up. Like it uses an audio illusion so that it always sounds like it's going up. Stuff like that. It's such a crazy cool plugin. $150. Black Friday is coming up, right? So if you want to get this, there's going to be a deal. I would wager my right testicle, lefty, has to stay. Please use the affiliate link if you do want to get it, or any of my videos that have that affiliate link in it. You just search Vulture Culture Synth, pull it up. Helps out the channel too. Also a way to help keep the lights going. But there's also stock plugins that can do a lot. It's not going to do everything Filterverse can do, but if you don't have this, I bet you probably have something that you can still make incredible music, because you can see how I use Filterverse in a very simple way. When you pull up the presets, they're like these crazy textures that no one's ever heard before, type of a thing. But for me, I use it basically just to make my music making process faster, more intuitive, easier to get where I want to go quick. And then the Prophet 12 really probably didn't shock some of you out there, but for me, I think Dub summed it up when he said 80% of the sounds you could not get with another synth. And but if you don't have this, I would recommend, I didn't put a link in the description, but Tyrell N6 by UHE. They make some really great analog emulation plugins, and it's totally free. And it's a great sort of virus type synth plugin that sounds amazing, and it's completely free and can really get you into the EBM area. And you can experiment with things like, if you don't have a Prophet 12, for instance, if we go into, which one is it? I did a video on it, actually. It might be Vacuum. It might be Robocomb, I think, actually, where you can use this in the same way that I was using the feedback oscillator here. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, wait, how's that going to work, right? Because of the fact that this is a synth and like how, what's it going to do? But the cool thing is this accepts MIDI. So what you can actually do is run the MIDI out of your synth into Filterverse and have it do key tracking and things like that via MIDI, right? So we didn't even touch any of that. But my point is, you don't have to have an expensive hardware synth. You don't have to have Filterverse. You sort of got to have Diodes and Rust, though, if you want that vintage industrial tone, if I'm being honest. I always encourage people to make music first and foremost. You'd be surprised at how good the tools you have already sound. You don't need to be like me with a spiraling addiction, a midlife crisis on display for the world to see. I would encourage you to make music first and foremost. And hopefully I've encouraged some people to pick up Filterverse because this plugin is near and dear to my heart because it's a small team of cool people who make it. And when I have suggestions for them or something, they implemented it, And I think that's like, if you guys reach out to them about, hey, there's a type of filter I want or something in it, they're the type of people who will listen to you and actually make it happen. Because when you look at this filter list, you'll notice we still have some room for some more filters. We're not done yet. They're still coming out with more stuff. This is the 1.2 release. I'm sure there will be more stuff soon. I think that's probably as good of a place as to call it tonight as ever. So let's go ahead and get some music in here. And yeah, I hope you guys had fun. I hope that was sort of brought us back to some of what we used to do on the channel. I swear I will do more of these music making streams. I don't know if I've seen you around D Bellwether, but or Baphomet Prime, but welcome to the stream. Appreciate you being here. And yeah, I always try to kind of figure out a way that I can kind of make some music or inspire somebody to make music, I suppose, like by making music. And I love the gear. We all love the gear. We all love analog filters and things like that, but it's not as important as what you do with it. And I know that's trite. I know you're probably tired of hearing that, but it's the truth. Try a Xena with Polyvox. What's a Xena? I know what a Polyvox is. But anyways, let's call it there. Next week, Waldorf XTK. Continue to be excellent. I will see you there. Wait a second, what the fuck am I... Where in the fuck did I think that's how I was going to end the stream? That was very silly of me. We gotta listen to the fucking track.